The mining crew of Delta 9 Moon was tired. For 6 months, they worked deep under the surface, breaking rock and pulling out old metal. The moon had no life, no trees, no water. Only dust, silence, and cold. The team of 30 aliens came from different parts of the galaxy. They were scientists, diggers, guards, and pilots. All followed one goal: dig deeper and find valuable things. One morning, they found a strange door buried under the rock dot. It was older than any tech the galaxy knew. No one could read the writing. The door had no lock, no wires, and no sound. But when the crew touched it, it opened by itself. Behind the door was a black chamber, filled with dust and bones. Skeletons of different species. Some looked human. Some were unknown. In the center, there was a black orb, floating, glowing very faintly. Captain Lurzan, the leader, ordered no one to touch anything, but a junior tech Riv didn't listen. He reached out to touch the orb. That night, Riv died in his sleep. 2 days later, the real horror began. Riv's body was placed in the cold chamber, waiting for burial back on the homeworld. But during the night shift, a scream came from the storage deck. Guards rushed in and saw something impossible. Riv was walking. His eyes were white. His skin was pale. His mouth was open, breathing, but not like a living creature. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He just stared at the nearest worker and charged. Panic spread. Plasma rifles were fired. Riv was torn into pieces. Everyone thought it was over, but 20 minutes later, Riv's hand moved again, then his head. Then, his full body started to pull itself back together. "Burn him," Lurzan ordered. They did. The fire burned for hours. They returned to their duties. Until the next night, 3 more crew members were missing. Their rooms were full of blood. But their bodies were gone. Then the cameras showed them walking through the tunnels, half dead, half alive, screaming, running, attacking. Lurzan sent a message to the Galactic Council. "Delta 9 is under threat. We don't understand what's happening. The dead are coming back. We need help." The Council didn't believe it. They thought the crew was hallucinating from isolation. They sent a small scout team to check. By the time the scout ship arrived, the mining station was silent. Inside the halls, they found only shadows and wreckage. Walls were marked with blood. Tools were broken. Fires still burned. The scout team's leader, Commander Krek, found the captain's log. The last entry said, "Do not let them out. I sealed the lower levels. They can't think, but they remember, and they are many." Krek gave the order to leave. But it was too late. One by one, his team disappeared in the dark. One survivor made it out, a pilot named Varro. His ship launched on emergency auto mode. He had bites on his arm and terror in his eyes. He said only one thing before falling unconscious: "They don't die." Within a week, 3 more mining moons went silent. Ships arrived to rescue survivors. But instead, they found only corpses that rose and attacked. Galactic news exploded. The people called it a virus, a parasite, or even a bioweapon. But the truth was, they had no idea what it was. The dead were not sick. They had no heat, no breath, no heartbeat, yet they moved. They attacked, and when killed, they simply got back up. The Galactic Council met in panic. Representatives from 50 species shouted across the chambers. Some wanted war, some wanted lockdowns. Others suggested it was an Earth weapon, forgotten or lost. But Earth had been quiet. For over 100 years, no wars, no contact. They were seen as primitive and isolated. A few ancient species, like the Tharun elders, said they had seen this before long, long ago. They whispered an old name, the Necro Plague. But their voices were ignored. As more planets began seeing walking dead, the military reacted. Thousands of soldiers were sent to infected zones. They used plasma, fire, EMPs, gas. Nothing worked for long. One battle on planet Kyrex lasted 7 Hours. A full battalion faced only 40 infected. The infected died 10 times. And rose 11. Then came the message from Station Alara. This station orbited a gas giant and was far from any infected world. It was supposed to be safe, but one of the medics had taken a small bone fragment from a dead miner. He thought it was harmless. Within 2 days, he was dead. By the 3rd day, the whole station had turned. The last message from Alara was a shaky video. They don't spread by bites alone. Even dust, even memory brings them. It's not infection. It's something worse. The panic turned to fear, then to chaos. Civilizations began locking their borders. Others began to burn their dead, even if they died naturally. Burial became illegal. Funeral homes shut down. Families were torn apart when loved ones returned. But not the same. But in all this fear, one strange thing was noticed. Humans weren't panicking. The few human colonies in space had already begun sealing their dead, locking morgues, and creating fire vaults. One alien reporter asked a human elder on Colony Mira, "Why are you so calm?" The human looked at him and said, "Because we've seen this before." The video went viral. Galactic researchers began digging old Earth records. Most were locked. Some were erased. Others had strange titles like Black Belt Protocol, Project Soulwake, Deadlight Incident -2042. One file was found in an archive deep on Mars. It was broken, corrupted, but one line could be read clearly. The dead rise not because of disease, but because of a signal. A call heard only by those who have slept once. Suddenly, the mystery deepened. This was not biological. It was not viral. It was a frequency. A code, a message that woke the dead. But who sent it? And why now? The Council formed a secret task force to find the origin. Their trail led them not to an alien world, but back to Earth. Earth's government refused contact. They said Earth had moved past the stars, past the wars, and wanted no part in galactic affairs. But the Council insisted. A small team was sent to speak to a human historian named Mara Quinn. She was living alone in the asteroid belt, in a ship made of junk, old bone metal, and dark tech. A scavenger, a survivor, a ghost from Earth's past. When they met her, she was not surprised. She said, "So, it's awake again." They asked what Ood was. She smiled, sadly. "The first plague, the only true plague. The one that remembers the moment you forget the dead." The team asked for help. She said, "You won't like the answer." They asked what it would take to stop the rising dead. She whispered, "Someone has to die the right way and come back the wrong way." They didn't understand. She looked at the stars, then said, "Your weapons won't work. Your tech won't help. You need something older than science. Something Earth buried in fear. Something I swore I'd never use again." In the dark, something moved in her ship. A hand, made of bone, wrapped in old metal, still twitching, but it didn't attack her. It obeyed her. The Council returned home in silence. Outside their chambers, the galaxy was burning. Worlds fell one by one. Graves opened without warning. And deep under the ruins of Delta 9, the black orb began to pulse again. Smoke filled the sky above Delta 9. Fires still burned on the surface, lighting up broken ships and dead machines. No one had dared to land since the last rescue mission failed. But today, a new ship hovered over the ruins. It was not sent by the Galactic Council. It belonged to a private military group called Unit Core 7, led by Commander Seln, a war veteran from the Zaro species. He didn't believe in ghosts or curses. He believed in firepower. Seln and his team of 40 elite soldiers landed without fear. They wore thick armor, carried the latest plasma rifles, sonic grenades, and fire-edged blades. Mission simple, Seln growled. Sweep the facility. Kill everything that moves. Bring back samples. They entered the tunnels. At first, The base was quiet, too quiet. No wind, no voices. Just the sound of boots against metal and the soft hum of motion detectors. Then came the first contact. A figure walked from the dark hallway. It was thin, pale, and dragging one foot. Its chest had a hole, its head tilted sideways. A half-dead. Taran minor eyes glowing faint blue. Engage. Sung ordered. 6 rifles fired at once. Plasma bolts tore the body apart. Arms flew, legs dropped. The creature hit the floor. Dead. Again. But then, its fingers switched, its head lifted, its body twisted like wet rope. And it stood up, broken and slow but smiling. Again. Seln yelled. They fired again, burning the thing, until it was ash. His second-in-command looked at him. What was that? Seln didn't answer. His face was hard. But they kept going. They found more. 1, then 3. Then 10, all walking, all already dead. Some crawled. Some climbed walls. Some came from vents. The soldiers fought bravely. Explosions lit up the darkness. One creature was sliced in half, still crawled forward. Another had no eyes, but found them by smell. Seln's best sniper shot one directly in the head. It fell. 30 seconds later. It got back up. That's when the panic started. Fall back, someone screamed. They're not dying. The squad regrouped in the control room. Commander, a medic shouted. Kren was bit. Look. They turned. Soldier Kren had died 5 minutes ago. But now he was standing. His helmet had fallen off. His mouth was full of blood. Shoot him. Someone yelled. Seln aimed, but Kren smiled and said, You're already too late. Then he ran at them. It was chaos. Soldiers screamed. Guns fired. Grenades exploded. In the end, only 5 made it back to the ship. Seln's armor was cracked. His arms were burned. His eyes looked haunted. Before leaving orbit, he sent a message to the council. Do not send more troops. Weapons are useless, aren't alive. They don't bleed. They don't stop. Plasma burns them, but they return. We are facing something unnatural. Back at the galactic core, the news spread. Weapons useless against the dead. Even elite soldiers can't stop them. Galaxy unarmed against rising plague. Civilizations began to panic. Trade routes shut down. Warships returned to protect their home planets. Every death, every body was now a threat. Some governments began burning their dead in public. Others shot people just for coughing. Orders started to break, but not all gave up. A small group of scientists and engineers from planet Chura began working on anti-resurrection tech. They believed they could scan bodies for the signal that triggered the rise. One of them, Dr. Mira Tor, found something shocking. The signal that woke the dead. It was not random. It had a pattern, like a song. Every dead body was responding to the same frequency, the same beat, like it was calling them home. She called it the death code. But before she could publish her results, her lab exploded. Some said it was an accident. Others whispered it was sabotage. The code was lost. Meanwhile, one planet after another began falling. Krullen V was the first major colony to be completely overrun. Its capital city sent one final message before going silent. They come through. Walls. They scream without mouths. They remember their families. They use doors. This is no longer mindless. This is war. Among all this, one word kept coming back. Earth. Rumors spread that Earth had faced this plague long ago. That they had won, but the records were missing. Or worse, deleted by the council themselves. Some said Earth had built a weapon. Others believed they made the plague. One thing was clear. Earth knew more than it had told. In a quiet sector of space, a council ship moved toward the asteroid belt. Its mission: find the human scavenger Mara Quinn. Mara was not famous. She was not rich, but she was old. Not in years, but in memory. She lived alone in a strange ship made of bones, scrap metal, and ancient machines. Her AI was silent. Her ship had no name. When the council ship hailed her, she didn't answer. They tried again. No reply. Finally, they docked and entered. Inside, the walls were made of skulls, some alien, some human, all arranged like a warning. Mara sat in a dark room, staring at a small floating screen. It showed a world burning. When she saw them, she didn't smile. "You took long enough," she said. The leader of the team, Envoy Kel, stepped forward. "You know why we're here?" "Yes," Mara replied. "You fought this before." Mara stood slowly. "No," she said. "We survived it. We didn't win." The team fell silent. "Is it a virus?" Kel asked. "No." "A curse?" "No." "Then what?" Mara looked at the bone wall. "It's a call. Sent from something old. Something we woke and forgot." She turned and walked to a sealed room. Inside was a glass case. In it was a small black bell, no bigger than a fist. It looked harmless. "What is that?" one asked. Mara whispered. "It's not a weapon. It's a key, one of the few that can stop the dead from rising." She looked at them. "But to use it, someone must die. And not stay dead." The council team didn't understand. Mara sighed. "You don't fight the plague with guns. You fight it with understanding, with sacrifice, with memory." They asked her to come with them. She refused. "I'll come when the galaxy is ready to listen, not shoot." As they left her ship, one of the team whispered to Kel, "She's insane." But Kel wasn't so sure. He had seen the footage from Delta 9. He had heard the screams. And when Mara looked into his eyes, he felt something no alien ever felt before: fear of the dead. And fear of the truth. On the way back, the council ship picked up a broadcast. It came from the ruins of Alara Station, destroyed weeks ago. The voice on the signal was robotic, but clear. The black bell tolls only once. The second toll is never heard by the living. Prepare, the Queen is waking. The crew didn't understand, but far away, in the ruins of Alara, something moved. A hand with 7 fingers. Wrapped in light and shadow. It reached toward the sky and began to crawl. The Galactic Council met again in the great glass dome on Zareth Prime. The skies above were dark, filled with smoke from nearby systems. Planets were falling. Dead were rising. Hope was slipping. Inside the council chamber, anger replaced fear. Ambassadors of over 30 species argued loudly. Why weren't we warned? Who created this plague? What are these signals? Why does the name Earth keep showing up? No one had answers. Then the elders of Troth, a species older than the council itself, spoke only one sentence. We told you Earth's silence was not peace. It was punishment. A young Zarnian ambassador, Vex Ral, couldn't take it anymore. He left the chamber and entered the council's hidden records. These were the Red Zone's files marked as dangerous, erased, or denied. He had one goal: find Earth's truth. It wasn't easy. Earth's files had been locked after the Separation Treaty 112 years ago. They left the Galactic Union after a short, brutal war against the Sellan Empire that Earth won in less than 24 hours. Since then, the Council had ordered all data related to Earth's old weapons sealed. Many called it overreaction. Now, those files were needed more than ever. Vex hacked into a backup server deep beneath the old Council Tower. The files were there, but they weren't clean. Most were corrupted. Some had warnings: forbidden technology, Class Omega threat, no recovery on-site, terminate file holder. But Vex kept going. He found an Earth archive labeled Project Soulwake, year 2042. His translator, I tried to decode it. One sentence appeared: the soul is not the body. It can be woken, even after death. But once woken, it calls others. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The data terminal sparked. Vex tried to back out, but the AI voice screamed, Access denied. Council surveillance activated. He yanked the chip from the reader and ran. Hours later, in a hidden hangar, he showed the file to Envoy Kel, the same officer who had met Mara Quinn. Kel read the fragment with cold eyes. This means Earth caused. This? Vex nodded. Or, they tried to stop it. Kel frowned. Where's the rest? Vex whispered. I think they erased it. All of it. The council hid the truth. They returned to the chamber and demanded answers. The older council members stayed silent, but one Chairman Juro of the Solari spoke up at last. His voice trembled. There was a weapon. A mistake. Earth built it to win a war. It turned the tide. But the cost, he paused. Their dead began waking. Not all. Just some, but enough. He looked away. So Earth did the unthinkable. They created a counterplague. Something ancient. Something terrible. Then they buried it. Buried it all. Kel leaned forward. And now it's coming back? Juro nodded. We feared Earth's weapons so much, we erased the records. We didn't want another war, but in doing so, we erased the cure too. Now there was only one option left. Mara Quinn. She had the memories. She had seen the first rise. She might still know the way to stop it. Meanwhile, in Deep Void Sector 1-3, a broken ship drifted. No signal. No life. No heat. Inside floated hundreds of bodies frozen dead. But one opened its eyes. The frost on the walls cracked. The body moved slowly, wrongly, as if memory itself had returned before breath. It spoke. Its voice echoed like broken metal. Awaken, Queen calls. Others began to twitch. Hands moved. Eyes opened. The void woke up, on the edge of known space. Mara Quinn sat quietly in her bone-made ship. She was watching an old recording on a cracked screen. It showed Earth. Year 2042. People were screaming in city streets. Dead bodies running, burning, falling, rising again. Then came a signal. A pulse, a low humming sound. The dead stopped moving, all of them. Then, they bowed. To someone off screen. Mara paused the video. Her own young face stared back at her. The council ship arrived an hour later. Envoy Kel stepped out, holding a file in his hands. We need your help. Mara didn't move. Kel said, we know about Project Soulwake. Her eyes finally looked at him. Then you know how dangerous it is. We have no choice, he said. You always had a choice, she replied. You just didn't listen. The first time. Kel offered the chip. Vex recovered. She took it, read it, and laughed bitterly. This is nothing. This is just the start, he asked her. Then where do we begin? She closed her eyes. We begin where it ended. The silent graveyard. Kel asked, what is that? She whispered, a planet Earth locked away, where the first souls were buried, where the plague began, and where it must be finished. But traveling there wasn't simple. The silent graveyard was surrounded by gravitational storms. It had no name in a modern map. Its orbit was unstable. Its surface toxic. Even Mara had not been there in decades, but she remembered the path. She said only 3 words. Set course now. Back on Zareth Prime. Council chambers shook as reports flooded in. Planet Juvana lost 6 billion gone. Undead ships detected drifting into trade lanes. They are building something. The final message was the worst. One of them spoke. It knew my name. It asked for forgiveness. The council tried to hold order, but it was clear. This was no longer random. The plague knew them. It was coming for them, and it had memory, on the way to the silent graveyard. Mara sat in silence. Kel asked her, do you believe we can stop it? She replied, we can't stop death. He asked, then what are we doing? Mara looked out at the stars. We're not fighting death, she whispered. We're fighting what comes after. In the distance, a new signal pulsed in deep space. Not in any language, just a sound, a rhythm, like a heartbeat. But wrong. All across the galaxy, the dead paused and listened. And far, far away, something smiled, the Council's fastest stealth cruiser, Silent Ember, moved through dead space like a shadow. No stars, no signals, no sound. Only cold darkness and memories no one wanted. Inside the ship, Envoy Kel and the Council team sat quietly, watching Mara Quinn. She stood at the front window, staring into the void. "Where are we going?" one young officer asked. Mara didn't look back. "To a place Earth forgot, a place the dead remember." The planet appeared like a wound in space. No name, no light. It floated near a dying star, covered in ash and broken stone. Kel whispered, "This is the silent graveyard?" Mara nodded once. "This is where the first souls were trapped, the first undead." As they approached the surface, strange readings hit the ship. Energy pulses, gravity shifts, whispers in the COMS. One voice said, "We see you." The pilot shivered. "Ma'am, the planet's pulling us in." Mara smiled coldly. "Let it." The ship landed near a cliff of bones. Real bones, skulls, spines, tusks, claws, hundreds of species, all arranged in rows like graves that grew from the ground. Kel stepped out in armor, weapon ready. Mara stepped out with nothing but a staff made of rusted metal and old tech. A black cloth was tied around her arm. They walked forward. The ground felt hollow, like walking on coffins. Then they saw it. In the center of the valley stood a ship. It was unlike anything in the galaxy. Its hull was bone. Its wings were made of ribs. Its engine core pulsed with a red glow, like a heartbeat. It was alive, and it was hers. Kel whispered, "What is this place?" Mara spoke softly. "It's my sanctuary, my prison, my mistake." He asked, "You built this?" "No," she said. "I grew it." Inside the bone ship, the lights were dim. The walls were covered in carvings, old Earth symbols mixed with alien runes. Some glowed. Others moved slightly, like they were breathing. "The ship's I spoke in a dry, ancient voice. "Welcome back, Mara Quinn. We missed your fear." The Council team stepped back. The ship spoke again. "New guests detected. Should I bite?" Mara said calmly, "Not today." They entered the central chamber. At its heart was a small, floating object, a bell, black, cold, silent. Kel stared at it. "That's the Black Bell?" Mara nodded. "One of 3. The others were lost long ago. What does it do?" She looked him in the eyes. "It calls the dead, but not to wake them, to bind them." They sat around a small flame. Mara told the story. Earth's first curse. Hundreds of years ago, during Earth's final war, a weapon was created, not to kill, but to bring fallen soldiers back. It was called Project Soulwake. The first test worked. A soldier died in combat, then stood up again, alive, aware, stronger. But something went wrong. The soldier began hearing voices, voices of others who had died. He wasn't alone. He began calling them, one by one. Bodies from old wars rose, then ancient graves, then the oceans. Earth realized its mistake too late. The Soulwake signal had become a frequency of resurrection, and it could not be stopped. That's when Earth created the Black Bell Protocol. 3 bells, forged from cursed metals and echo-bound sound. Each could hold the signal, bind it for a time, force the undead to sleep. But using the bells came at a cost. The ringer had to die first. Then be brought back. Only the dead could ring the bell and survive. Kel asked, "Is that what you did?" Mara nodded. "I died, then I came back." Kel looked at her closely now. His breath caught. "You're not alive?" She smiled sadly, not fully. Suddenly, alarms in the ship screamed. "The ship's I said. Warning. Undead presence detected. 30, no, 50. They've followed your trail." Kel looked outside. Shapes moved in the fog. Figures walking, crawling. Floating dozens of dead aliens. Mara stood slowly. They heard the bell. Even before it rang. She walked to the edge of the ship. The undead stood still, staring up at her. Some had no eyes. Some had too many. Some whispered her name. Mara, Mara, come back. Kel raised his weapon. We fight? Mara held up a hand. No, watch. She lifted the black bell. It was cold in her hands. Heavy. Sad. She rang it once. Boom. A low, deep sound echoed across the valley. The undead screamed. Not in rage, but in pain. Their bodies shook. Smoke rose from their mouths. Some collapsed. Others turned and ran. Kel had never seen undead run away. He asked, "What did you just do?" Mara looked exhausted. I reminded them who I am. But one did not run. It walked slowly toward her. Tall, twisted, wearing broken armor. Its mouth opened, and it spoke. She calls you, Mara Quinn. The Queen remembers. She wants you home. Kel stepped forward, gun raised. Mara stopped him. No, let him finish. The creature continued. You left her. You broke her. You split the soul. Now she wants it back. Mara's face turned pale. She whispered, "It's her." Kel asked, "Who?" Mara said only one word. Me. The creature smiled. Then it burst into ashes and vanished. The silence was worse than any scream. Kel asked, "What did that mean?" Mara sat down slowly. She looked tired, broken. When I died to ring the bell the first time, part of me didn't come back. That part kept growing in the dark, feeding on memories, becoming something else. She looked at Kel. She's not just another undead. She's the Undead Queen. And now she was calling across space. Through the plague. Through every risen corpse. She wanted to be whole again, and the galaxy would burn until that happened. Kel stood. What do we do? Mara looked at him. Her voice was steady now. We find the other two bells. We ring them all at once. And then I face her. Kel asked, "And if you fail?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to, because they both knew the truth. If she failed, no one would ever die alone again. Outside, the undead were gone. For now, but far, far away. Across dead worlds. The Undead Queen opened her eyes, half human, half shadow, and fully awake. The fire inside. Mara Quinn's bone ship burned low. She sat alone near the bell. Eyes closed, breathing slow. Around her, the council team argued. You heard what that thing said. One shouted, "She's connected to the Queen. She's the reason this plague started." Another growled, but Envoy Kel stood between them. She's also the only one who's made them run. The lights flickered. Mara opened her eyes. "I need to die again," she said quietly. The room froze. Kel stepped forward. "What do you mean?" "I died once to ring the bell," Mara explained. "But that was only part of the cure. The real signal, the one that binds the dead, needs all three bells." Kel nodded. "And to activate them, someone must die," she finished, "but not stay dead." She stood up slowly. "I have to do it again." The council team refused. "This is insane. We should destroy the bells, not use them." But Kel saw the truth in Mara's eyes. She wasn't afraid to die. She was afraid of what would happen if she didn't. That night, under the dark sky of the silent graveyard, Mara walked into a cold chamber deep inside the ship. Kel followed. He carried a small injector. It would stop her heart, gently, painlessly. She lay down. "You sure?" he asked. She looked at him. "If I stay alive, the Queen wins." He pushed the injector. Her eyes closed. Her heart stopped. The ship let out a low hum. The bell pulsed once. Then everything went wrong. The ship's walls shook. Lights turned red. The AI screamed. "Alert! Grave signal detected. Incoming resurrection interference." From outside the ship, a shadow fell across the land. A shape, large, twisted, beautiful, terrifying. It was the Queen. Kel ran to the command deck. Dozens of undead creatures crawled from the cliffs, but they didn't attack. They bowed to the Queen. She didn't walk. She floated. Her eyes glowed with stolen memories. Her voice echoed in every speaker. She sleeps again. I've come to take her home. Kel raised the ship's defenses. The weapons lit up. Cannon blasts tore into the undead, but they reformed, again and again. Like smoke and screams. One of the council guards yelled, "We can't hold them." Kel turned to the AI. "Can we wake Mara? Her vitals are flickering. Something is fighting inside." Inside her mind, Mara stood in a dark void. She wasn't alone. The Queen was there. She looked like Mara, but not a twisted reflection. "You left me," the Queen said. "You tried to destroy me." "I tried to stop you," Mara replied. Queen laughed. "We are the same. You died. I stayed. You forgot. I remembered." "Then remember this," Mara whispered. And she ran toward the Queen. Back outside, the ship cracked. The Queen floated higher. She held out her hand. The black bell rose into the air, pulled by invisible force. The council guard screamed, "It's going to her." Kel tried to shoot it down, but his shots passed through like air. Then something exploded inside the ship. A pulse of white light. A scream that wasn't a scream, and Mara stood up. Her eyes burned bright. Her veins glowed silver. She grabbed the bell mitter and it froze. The Queen shrieked, "No! You are mine!" But Mara wasn't afraid. She rang the bell. Boom. The sound shook the sky. Undead creatures fell. Some melted. Some cracked. Some vanished into dust. But the Queen only smiled. "Now you're awake," she said. "Now we begin." She charged forward. Faster than light, Mara threw up a shield of bone and sound. They clashed. Not with weapons, but with will. The Queen roared. Mara stood firm. Around them, the sky twisted. Time slowed. The council team could only watch. Kel yelled, "She's not enough." The eye spoke. "The bell's power is incomplete. 2 more are required. She cannot hold the Queen alone." Kel shouted, "Where are the other bells?" The eye showed a map. One was on a broken station in the vortex belt. The other buried under a fallen city on old Earth. Kel made a decision. He turned to his team. "You stay with Mara. Protect her. I'm going to get the bells." As he launched in a small stealth pod, he looked back. The Queen and Mara were still locked in a battle of will. One wanted power. One wanted peace. Both had died, but only one would live. Hours later, Kel reached the vortex belt. Wreckage of ships swirled in a deadly storm. He flew through lightning, dodging debris. The bell was inside Station 9, long abandoned, overrun with ghosts and echoes. He docked. The halls were dark. He walked alone, rifle ready. Voices whispered his name. "Kel, Kel, do you remember us?" He found the bell in a glass case, black, cold, silent. As he touched it, a figure appeared. His brother, dead 20 years, but standing now. "Come home." "Kel," it said. Kel closed his eyes. Then fired. The echo shattered. He grabbed the bell and ran. Back on the graveyard. Mara knelt. Her strength was fading. The Queen laughed. "Still weak. Still human." Mara said nothing. She was waiting. Waiting for Kel. At the edge of space. Kel turned toward Earth. The second bell waited there, buried under a ruined capital, deep inside the soil of the old world. But something else waited too. Something worse. As he flew closer, he saw it. Earth was not empty. The sky above was full of ships. Dead ones. Floating. Waiting. And below, the soil moved. The planet had a heartbeat. Kel whispered, "What did they do to you, Earth?" Envoy Kel's ship cut through the darkness. Earth was no longer the blue jewel of old stories. Now it was a shadow, a grave, but something still lived. As Kel approached the ruined orbit, his scanners went wild. SHIPWRECK floated in broken formation, but amidst them, a pulse, a heartbeat. Something was alive here. He docked on what once was the capital city, now a wasteland of twisted metal and collapsed towers. The air smelled of ash and salt. Kel stepped out, rifle raised. The ground beneath his feet moved. Slow, deliberate. It was breathing, a soft rhythmic pulse. Kel whispered, "The planet. It's alive." Suddenly, the ruins cracked open. From the earth rose roots. Long, thick, glowing faint green. They wrapped around broken cars, towers, even bodies. Kel felt eyes on him. He spun. From the shadows emerged humanoid figures. Not UNDEAD. But not quite alive. Skin translucent. Eyes deep like galaxies. They spoke in voices like wind. "You should not be here." Kel raised his hands. "I'm here for the bell. To save the galaxy." The figures exchanged looks. One stepped forward. "I am Ira, guardian of Earth's last breath." Ira explained. Earth was never truly dead. After the Soul-Wake Plague, the planet's life force fused with ancient spirits. They created a new kind of life. Not flesh. Not machine, but something in between. Kel asked, "Where is the bell?" Ira's eyes glowed brighter. "It sleeps beneath the old city, in the heart root." She motioned. Kel followed through twisting tunnels of glowing roots, under collapsed streets. In the deepest chamber, Kel saw it. The second black bell. It rested on a stone altar, surrounded by pulsating vines. Kel reached out. The bell was warm, alive. Suddenly, the ground shook. The ruins around them trembled. Ira shouted, "The Queen is coming!" Outside, the sky darkened. Ships rose from the wreckage. Undead ships. Led by the Queen's shadow. Kel grabbed the bell. "We don't have time." Ira nodded. "Take it, but Earth will protect its own." Kel ran toward his ship. Roots blocked his path. He fought through the living earth, vines tightening around him. The Queen's voice echoed, "You cannot take what is mine." He reached the ship. Just as undead creatures burst from the soil, he blasted them with plasma fire. The ship lifted off. From orbit. Kel looked down. The planet, pulsed. Alive. And waiting. Back on the silent graveyard, Mara waited. She held the first bell tight. Kel's arrival was near. The final battle was coming. The silent graveyard was quiet, too quiet. Mara Quinn sat in her bone ship's chamber, holding the first black bell tightly. Her eyes were tired, but her spirit was strong. The bell's soft pulse echoed like a heartbeat. Suddenly, alarms blared. Envoy Kel's ship appeared in orbit. He docked swiftly, carrying the second bell. The one from Earth. Mara stood as Kel entered. The room filled with tension. Two bells. Two powerful keys. Kel placed the second bell beside the first. They pulsed in sync, a low hum filling the chamber, but the ship shuddered violently. The undead Queen was coming. Outside, the sky cracked open. A storm of dark energy surrounded the planet. The Queen's shadow stretched across the silent graveyard. Her voice boomed, "You think your bells can bind me? I am eternal." Mara stepped forward, her voice steady. "We will stop you." Kel readied weapons. The council team prepared defenses. Suddenly, the Queen appeared inside the ship. She was terrifying. Half shadow, half broken flesh. Eyes burning with rage. She laughed. "Two bells? I am stronger than you imagine." Her hands glowed with dark power. She struck the floor. The ship trembled. Mara and Kel fought back. Mara rang the bells in sequence. Waves of sound battled the Queen's dark energy, but she absorbed it. The Queen's strength grew. Kel shouted, "We need the third bell." Mara nodded. "Only together can we finish this." The ship shook as the Queen unleashed a blast. Everyone was thrown back. Mara's voice whispered, "We don't have much time." Kel looked at Mara. Where is the last bell? She answered softly, buried beneath the ruins of the old warships, forgotten by all but me. Outside, undead forces closed in. The Queen's power spread like wildfire. The final battle was near. The sky above the silent graveyard burned red. The undead Queen floated in the air, arms wide, laughing as her army of dead marched across the land. Inside the bone ship, Mara Quinn stood beside Envoy Kel, holding 2 black bells. The floor shook. Walls cracked. They were running out of time. Kel asked again, breathless, "Where is the 3rd bell?" Mara looked out the window. There, she whispered, Dot, in the distance, beyond mountains of bone, rose a shattered wreck of ancient warships, Earth's last fleet from the Soulwake War, all destroyed. All buried, Dot, but beneath them slept the final bell. They launched fast. The ship flew low, dodging incoming blasts from undead creatures flying through the sky like insects. The Queen screamed, "You will not bind me again." They reached the wreckage. Kel and Mara jumped out and ran through the twisted ruins. Dead soldiers, half human, half metal, rose from the dust and attacked. Kel fought with plasma bursts. Mara used only the bells. Each ring sent waves that knocked the undead back, but they always came again. At last, they reached the core of the wreckage, a sealed vault. Mara stepped forward. "This is where I died, the first time." Kel looked at her. "Are you sure it's here?" She nodded. "I buried it with my body." They opened the vault. Inside was a coffin, and on top of it, the 3rd bell. It was cracked. Faint, weaker than the others. Kel whispered, "Can it still work?" Mara didn't answer. She touched it, and her eyes flashed with light. She saw everything: the past, the war, the dead rising, the moment she gave up her soul, the moment the Queen was born, and the final moment when the bells were hidden. To stop the world from ending, she snapped back to reality. Tears in her eyes. "We must rend them all at once." Kel looked confused. "How?" She stepped into the center of the wrecked field, placed the 3 bells in a triangle around her. Then looked up at him. "You'll have to kill me." Kel froze. "No. It's the only way," she said calmly. "I have to die again. The bells will only activate if death touches them." "Real death." He shook his head. "There must be another way." Mara smiled softly. "There isn't." She gave him the injector. The same tool he used back in Part 5. She closed her eyes and said one last time, "Let me go." "For all of them." Kel pulled the trigger. Her heart stopped. The bells glowed. Then silence across the planet. The undead froze. The Queen screamed in agony. "No." The bells began to ring together. 3 sounds, 1 rhythm, not of death, but of binding. Of memory, of soul. Of peace. The Queen twisted in the sky. Her body cracked. She cried out, not in anger, but in sorrow. "Mara, don't leave me." The bells rang louder. The sky cracked open. A beam of light fell from the heavens. It struck the Queen. She screamed. Then, silence. She was gone. All the undead collapsed. Lifeless. Truly lifeless. No resurrection. No signal. Just peace. Kel rushed to Mara. Her body lay still. But then, her hand moved. Her heart beat once, then again. She opened her eyes. "I heard her," she whispered. "She was just scared." He smiled. "You brought her peace." Mara nodded slowly. "And maybe the galaxy too." Months later, the plague was gone. The undead had fallen everywhere. Ships that once drifted in horror were silent. Planets burned now began to heal. Galaxies that hated humans now sent messages of thanks. Mara refused medals. She returned to her ship of bones. Alone. Kel, now head of the new Peace Guard, stood on a balcony one night. He looked up at the stars. He whispered. 3 bells rang. 1 woman died twice, and the galaxy lives. And far beyond, in the deep, dark void, no undead moved. No queen rose. Only a soft sound remained. The sound of the bells, sleeping, waiting, but not forgotten. The end.